What's going on, people? I am Swerver, and this is the Opinionated Facts Media Group podcast. I'm joined by Coco Love, a journey to be great. And our mission on this podcast is to build better relationships within our community through using the power of conversation. So today's conversation is going to be about jobs. Most of us work one. Not all of us like where we work, but we do have to make our money to survive and live and do the things that we want to do. So today we're going to be talking about some of the woes of having a job. So I think we'll start with Journey. So what you got, Journey?
Well, once upon a time, I was working for a company that delivers packages. And due to my not so good driving record, I end up getting terminated from that position. And I had the opportunity to step down to find another position within the company that paid less, which I did not want to do. And I just ended up having to find something else. And, I had got accustomed to doing that job, and, I wasn't planning on transitioning at the time, but I had to. And I found something else, which for me personally, like when things do come about and it's life, things will always come about. I always look for the lesson in it, not as far as how I failed or it's a loss. I just take it as what can I learn from it. Of course, I learned, I need to drive better if I'm going to be delivering or whatever. Of course, that, but also, just looking at the fact that it allowed me to go something else and get another opportunity, meet different people, make more money, and also my time, not having to work hours and still get decent money. So I was able to persevere. And another thing I also do, I call it checking my resume. I just kind of look at my past and things that came about that I felt was going to take me out and I couldn't make it through, and realize how I overcame that situation. And so when I do that and just kind of reflect on all the other things that came about and how I came through it and got better and stronger from it, that also gives me a peace of mind when I do have to go through any storm that arises.
Okay. So you feel satisfied with your decision to leave, or did you even care about being terminated, like being where you are now?
Honestly, when it came about, a lot of people that I worked with were more upset than I was. Because when they told me that they had to fire me from that position, I was just kind of looking at like, okay, it's just time for me to move on. So,
somewhat similar, but it's funny because it's like, you think you want to do something so badly, and then you get into it and you're just like, this ain't it. So I was in school for my master's degree all the way up until, I guess, 2022, early 2022, master's degree in elementary education. And I was doing that while I was working full time. And if you know anything about, I guess, getting a degree in education, you have to complete hours within the classroom. And so that made it really difficult to even try to get to the end of that degree. But I did, and I was able to obtain a position at a school, local school or whatever. And it was during COVID. So that was different. And I was cool with it while we were virtual. But then once the kiddies came back to school, I was like, this ain't it. This hell no. The children did not listen. The children were bad. The children were just not for me. And I thought, I saw that year through, and I thought maybe if I go to another school, with younger kids, I would be better off. And I was not. I went to another school. I was pregnant with my son as well. So that was even more stressful. So teachers, first of all, they deserve so much. I mean, so much. It's just like a thankless job. And then you don't get maternity leave, or at least you don't get paid maternity leave. They were worrying the hell out of me while I was on maternity leave. It was bad. So my work-life balance was really off, and I was miserable. I had a lot of anxiety behind it. I was just extremely unhappy. It occupied my whole life. Even on the weekends, I was doing lesson plans and all of that. I was not enjoying my new baby or anything for that matter. So I hate to say it, but COVID came. And so it forced me to kind of sit down. I had been applying, and I found the job that I currently have. And I dipped. I did not go back after COVID. They kept asking me when I was coming back or whatever. And I was just like, oh, I'm still experiencing symptoms. No, I wasn't. But, you had so many days off you could get off or whatever, because I was just waiting on verification that this job had come through. My background check and everything had come through, and it did. And I have never been happier with the decision that I have made. Ever. I felt a little bad that I left them high and dry in the middle of the school year, but I had to do what was best for me. Like, I don't feel like they cared about me and my well-being and my family. So I had to do what was best for me. And it was the best decision. So I guess anybody going through something like that, like, you know, if you are in a position or if you are capable to find something before you leave, then definitely do that. But if not, I mean, you just got to do what's best for you. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it to where whatever you're in is stressing you out so much to where you can't even focus on your other tasks, like your children or anything like that. So.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I guess I'll go ahead and share my little experience, but it's like a two-part thing. So I'm taking myself a little bit further back. I used to work at fast food. This is a while back. And I just remember just wanting to work to make just some money. You know, I didn't have the kind of the vision that I do now. I just was just out there trying to have a job. And I can remember working at Subway. And I had this manager, man. He was really mean. You know, he didn't have a lot of patience, and I was just learning how to make these sandwiches. So, you know, I'm going through this period in my life where like I said, I'm not really feeling responsible for a lot, but I did want to make some money, and it taught me a valuable lesson. But yeah, so one day he left me in the store like they always do. You know how you had the one person that's up with trying to make all them sandwiches, and I'm new. You know, I just been there maybe a couple of weeks. So some kind of way he just came up to the store to check on me. Now I'm swamped, man. I'm trying to figure it out, run the register, all this stuff like that, and I haven't been properly trained. So he comes in, and when he gets there, he's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And I'm like, making these sandwiches. Like the people, like this is like right in front of the customers or whatever. And I was like trying to make these sandwiches. He's like, "Man, I told you how to do this. You got the writing right up. Like anybody that works at Subway, they know what I'm talking about. But you got the description of the sandwiches right here, whatever you can look up." And I mean, this is happening in front of the customer. So I'm getting frustrated, and my attitude is not mixing well with the situation. So he comes around, puts his apron on, and he starts to help me with the customers to get them down. But the problem was I could still sense like he seemed more focused on the frustration he had with me rather than making the sandwich. So anyway, by this time, again, remember now, I had no responsibilities at the time. So I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. If he says anything else to me, I'm going off right here. So anyway, you know, so it went on a little bit. I just kept quiet. He still talked about this and that. And so like, I'm trying to help the lady towards the vegetable side. He comes around and says, "You ring her up. Why you just," and I just, you know, I'm not going to say what I said, but it was some, it was some words. I'll say that. And so anyway, he was like, you know, you can go ahead and leave. And so I'm not going to say what I said, but whatever. I walked out from behind the counter and out into the lobby area where the Subway is. I took the apron and I threw the apron over the counter to the other side of the, you know, where the food was. And then I left out of the store. I said all that to say this. Sometimes these jobs can put a lot of pressure on you, and you may not feel adequate, but sometimes it's not that you're not adequate. Maybe you just don't understand how things go. And a lot of times we're not properly trained. A lot of us have to put out there, and then we have all these expectations. But one thing that it did for me, it made me realize that I don't want to work for somebody else for the rest of my life. So I started saving money and investing money, and that is what really changed my life. So now if I'm working because I have a goal in mind. I have a system of how I want to pay my own self out of having to work for someone else. So for example, $300 saved every month is a little bit over $10,000 in 3 years. So you got to ask yourself a question: what do you want? And after I started asking myself that question back then, it changed my life, and it made me more aware of the things that I could do with my money rather than just throwing it away on stuff that I didn't need. But I'll go more to that in a different episode. But have a vision for what you want to do. Don't just go to a job just to get money. Go with the understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. And that way you can pick better jobs to help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish and avoid some of these jobs that maybe you just wouldn't even take in the first place.
Okay, great point. And y'all were doing all of that in the Eat Fresh place.
Yeah, got a little
Wow.
That's when Jared was there, man. That's Jared. But anyway.
Oh, goodness.
Do you guys have any stories that you guys would want to share with us? If not, you know, that's cool. But I hope that what we talked about today can help you guys out in some way and just get you through. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media links. I am Swaver, joined by Coco Love. Journey to be great. This is Opinionated Facts Media Group Podcast. Until next time, peace.